Good evening and welcome to the MIRANET Residents Association Mayoral Candidate Challenge. My name is Sue Shanley and I'm with the Meadowood-Rattray Residents Association, and I'm the co-moderator for this evening along with Trevor Isaac, who is with the Park Royal Community Association. As you know, we are supporting the food banks this evening. Please give generously for those that didn't bring anything tonight. We have a special guest with us tonight, and at this time I'd like to invite rapper Mikey Bloom, who is the winner of Mississauga's 50th Anniversary Anthem Contest. We want to thank the Mississauga Arts Council and Mike Douglas for sponsoring Mikey through their SNAP program, which is a Sauga Neighborhoods art program, and it's a program designed to sponsor artists for the Mississauga's 50th anniversary. Mikey, the microphone is yours.
What up, everybody? Thank you so much. We're about to play the Mississauga Anthem for the 50th anniversary. So if it's your first time hearing it, get used to it, because it's a song that means a lot to me and hopefully to you as well. So let's go. From square one to the waters, Toronto by the border. We keep growing stronger from all our parents working, for all our sons and daughters learning, getting smarter. There's no other place that can take Mississauga. Spell it out. Yeah, that's the name. Spell it now. Mississauga. Yeah, that's the name. Mississauga, from square one to the waters, Toronto by the border. We keep growing stronger from all our parents working, for all our sons and daughters learning, getting smarter. There's no other place that can take Mississauga together. There's no city that's better. Feel welcome soon as you enter. There's every culture, creed, ethnicity, belief, all identities, abilities, and we all work together in perfect harmony. Opportunities for all communities, built by people just like you and me. From Applewood, Aaron Mills to Credit View, to Meadowvale and Clarkson, Arendale, Eglinton, Cooksville, Sheridan, East Creditlands, Carport, Credit, Malton, Lakeview, Rathwood, Fairview, to the Valley, to Mineola, Streetsville, here, Ontario, and Carthra. These are the places of Mississauga. Mississauga. Yeah, that's the name. Mississauga. Yeah, that's the name. Mississauga, from square one to the waters, Toronto by the border. We keep growing stronger from all our parents working, from all our sons and daughters learning, getting smarter. There's no other place that could take Mississauga. Yeah, that's the name. Mississauga. Yeah, that's the name. Spell it one more time. Mississauga. Yeah, that's the name. Yeah, that's the name. Mississauga, thank you so much. My name is Mikey Bloom. Thank you. Thanks again, Mikey.
Great job, thanks again. And congratulations on winning the contest. MIRANET has resident associations from many of the different wards in Mississauga. Tonight we want to thank them and to specifically thank the Mayoral Candidate Committee for their hard work in putting on this meeting tonight. First of all, Athena Tajidou, who is the chair, and she's with the Applewold Hilton Heights Residents Association. Glenn Vokes with the Lisgar Residents Association. Sumit Kapoor, not sure where he is, but he's here somewhere, with the Rockwood Residents Association. Rushmi Hashim with Hazel Heights Residents Association. And Catherine Soplet with Hillcrest Residents Association. Just to let everybody know that MIRANET will also be providing all mayoral candidates a platform on our YouTube and/or our website. You can upload a 3-minute video, and we will put it onto our YouTube channel anytime this next week, and everything should be up by next week. So everybody can go through and view all the different candidates. Obviously, we're restricted in size, and we could only have 6 candidates this evening. We'd now like to review the format of tonight's meeting. The candidates have reviewed the instructions beforehand, and the candidate speaking rotation has been selected, starting with number 1, Stephen, going down the line, and ending with George Tavares. You might have noticed that Carolyn Parrish is not here this evening. She sends her regrets, and I have a statement that I will be reading for her shortly. And again, this order was done in a random fashion through a draw just prior to the debate. Trevor?
I'm just going to go over the format and the construction of tonight's meeting. And I'm going to go slow because there's a lot to take in. So part 1, the candidates will each have 1 minute to present opening remarks. We have 2 timers, Bill and Muriel Chudiak, who will be signaling a 10-second warning to the candidates. A bell will be rung. Bill? Bill, a bell will be rung. Right? When time is up. Okay, so in part 2, questions made up from the various ratepayer residents associations from MIRANET will ask the candidates a number of questions that are important to MIRANET. Each candidate will have 45 seconds to respond on a rotation basis. We will then go to the audience to ask questions. We have also been collecting audience questions on cards, and we'll go back and forth on these. Either a question will be posed to each of the candidates in order of rotation, who will each have 45 seconds to respond, or a question will be directed to a specific candidate who has 45 seconds to respond, and then all of the other candidates will also be given 45 seconds to respond as well, if they wish to, in order of rotation. Please do not repeat questions. In part 3, we're going to something called the Candidate Challenge. Several questions sourced from different residents or residents associations will be selected by our committee. Random selection, each candidate will be asked to randomly select up to 2 questions from a bowl that we're going to have up here. Reading of the question. The candidate with the question 1 will begin. The candidate will then read a question out loud for the audience. The moderator will have a copy of all the questions. There are 4 different response options. Ask a question. The candidate must then decide which other candidate they will wish to answer the question. They may not answer the question themselves. B, answer or redirect. The candidate being asked the question can either ask the question or redirect the question to another candidate. Or C, which is called a boomerang. The candidate who was asked the question can boomerang it back to the original candidate who posed the question to begin with. Everybody got that? Did you need me to repeat that again? No? Okay. Audience questions will become in the same format, and they'll be determined throughout the duration of the meeting. Part 4, time permitting, will go to a lightning round where candidates are given 20 seconds to answer a question, or they will be posed a yes or no question. In part 5, that'll be closing remarks, and each candidate will be given 60 seconds to give their closing remarks. Okay, everybody clear on all this? Okay. Sue?
Alrighty, let's get started. I'd like to introduce the candidates in alphabetical order. Deepika Demirla, Stephen Dasco, David Shaw, George Tavares, and Alvin Tedjo. As I mentioned earlier, Carolyn was not able to make it. She had a conflict this evening, but I do have a statement that I'm going to read out because she was actually number one in the random draw. So I'm going to read this out to you. Ladies and gentlemen, I deeply regret that I cannot be with you today due to conflict, but I appreciate this opportunity to share my vision for the future of Mississauga. Ensuring the safety and well-being of every resident is a top priority for me. A safe city is a prosperous city, and I am committed to implementing policies and initiatives that prioritize public safety and reduce crime rates. I recognize the importance of efficient and accessible transportation systems in connecting communities and fostering economic growth. That's why I am a strong advocate for investing in public transit infrastructure to improve mobility for all residents, including less closed doors occurrences and providing free transit for seniors. It's essential that our seniors have convenient and affordable access to transportation services. I value the sense of community that defines Mississauga. Inclusive spaces where residents can come together, celebrate diversity, and build strong social bonds are vital. I believe in increasing access to community centers for seniors, providing them with opportunities for recreation, socialization, and support services. Housing affordability is a crucial element of overall prosperity. Many of our residents are facing challenges in finding affordable housing. 40,000 residents have moved out of the city since the last census. They cannot purchase affordable homes nor find reasonable rents. I'm dedicated to implementing policies that promote rapid construction, approvals, affordable units both for purchase and for rent, and retaining young families in our city. We're giving this to her because she's not here for the rest of the evening. I'm fully committed to making Mississauga a safe, inclusive, and affordable place for everyone to call home. Thank you for your understanding, and please accept my apologies for my absence. Sincerely, Carolyn Parrish. All right. Now we're handing over to our resident association members who are going to stand up and introduce themselves and then ask some questions for this first portion. And first question will go to Stephen in order, down the line.
Good evening. I'm Lally Murado at the White Oak Storm Park Community Association. And our first question is, our previous mayor, Bonnie Crombie, after agreeing not to use strong mayor powers issued by the premier, had an about-face and decided to utilize them over the fourplex housing issue. Many residents feel that using the strong mayor powers disenfranchised voters. Will you agree to not use strong mayor powers?
I just want to get the format right here. So are we? This is a bit of a.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know what? We didn't do opening statements. I apologize.
Or are we going right
Hold
into
on.
this?
No, I'm sorry. Opening statements. Sorry, that's my bad. There you go. All done. Sorry, Stephen. Go ahead.
All right.
My mistake.
No, not a problem. This is going to be a long, complex night, I think. Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you, MIRANET, for hosting us this evening. The future of our city is in our hands, and it's happening right now. I've been a councillor for the past 6 years, and I've had experience in facilitating a number of difficult issues. First, I want to tackle the big elephant that's in the room here for a lot in the area, and that's the Bloor Street Integrated Project. One candidate has taken a position that she'll single-handedly cancel the project. Well, this is one that only a full council can actually revisit and have the authority to cancel or alter the project. My commitment is, and I will put forward a motion asking council to review the decision on the matter. The request for a review cannot come from anyone that had previously voted against the motion. So in essence, only a councillor who previously voted in favor can put that motion forward. As mayor, I'm prepared to put that motion forward to my council colleagues to review it this July of this year. And, you know, I look forward to our evening ahead, and I will pledge that, you know, this is one that we'll have to discuss as a council going forward. Thank you.
I'm Deepika Damarla, and I'm running to be the next mayor of Mississauga. I want to begin by thanking MIRANET for this wonderful debate, for organizing it, and all of you for coming out here. You know, Mississauga's home. This is where I raised my daughter, run a small business, worked in corporate banking, had the honor of serving as the member of provincial parliament for this area, Mississauga East Cooksville, and the honor of serving all of Ontario as a cabinet minister, the Associate Minister of Health and Long-Term Care, and the Minister of Seniors, and of course serving as City Councillor now. And all of these experiences, every single one of them, has prepared me for today, to lead. I'm ready to lead. I have the experience to hit the ground running, and I've demonstrated that I will stand up for Mississauga, and I have the courage to take difficult decisions. And that's why my commitment is I will cancel the Bloor Street project, because that's what leadership is. Leadership is not about waffling. Leadership is not about talking about process. It's about making a commitment and delivering. That's the kind of mayor you will get. I look forward to your support.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alvin Tedrow. I'm the city councillor in Ward 2, which is Clarkson and Lorne Park. And I'm really excited to be here today. There are so many amazing neighbors that we've got, community members who are here tonight because they're really interested in understanding what we've got in front of us. What are the challenges that we have to take on as a city? And I often get the question when you're running and knocking on doors, why are you running? And I always go back to my kids. I've got 3 young kids. They're 9, 11, and 13 years old. And I grew up in the city. My parents moved here when I was 4 years old because they saw opportunity. And my wife and I chose the city for the same reason. Great communities, great neighborhoods for families. And we were able to afford a place here in the city just 15 years ago. But I don't see that opportunity for my kids now. I don't see a future where we've got enough affordable housing and housing available, safe communities, and affordability for my kids to grow up and be able to afford to live in the community that they grew up in. So that's our biggest challenge. We need to look to the future. We need some fresh energy and some ideas about how we're going to get there and plan to build that better future together. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm David Shaw, and I'm running on a different platform and I speak differently. I have 2 major issues that I've been going over for a couple of years and since the last election, but I'm going to talk about the sexualization of our children in our schools at this time. Because of this, there is a large increase in mental illness and suicide in our children and young adults. Fact, over 50% of those who transition come out of the school system in between the ages of 18 and 29 commit suicide. This is what the school system has produced. Upset parents in the hundreds at school board meetings last fall, in the hundreds and the thousands at City Hall last summer, not mentioned by council or anybody, or even the media. Why? You have to ask why this is not talked about. I'd also like to thank Carolyn Parrish for last night mentioning her granddaughter who came home and said that what's going on in the schools is wrong and the teachers don't even want any part of it. If elected, I will have this removed from the schools, and if they refuse, I will look into the child abuse case and have the authorities investigate. Hashtag leave our kids alone. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is George Tavares. Really quick thing about me, my education includes psychology, philosophy, political science, engineering, business, indigenous studies, a few others. I speak 4 different languages. I've traveled around the world fixing all kinds of problems for all kinds of levels of government. So I think I'm pretty qualified to come back to Mississauga and fix the broken. Okay, so not taking a shot at anybody, but if you like the city of Mississauga the way it is, great. Hire any one of the people that are currently running that are in council. But I've learned this in business: if you hire within and you want change, you don't get it. They're great people. They're brilliant. They deserve a spot at the table, and I appreciate that, and I need their help in order to run the city. But no, it doesn't work that way. There's a lens that they look at the world, and that lens is milled to a particular spec. Once you're in the system, you understand the system, and you work within the system, and you can't kind of fight your way out. And I suppose I'm done. Great. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you, everyone. And now we're going to go to, I guess we're going to go back to part two. Questions from ratepayer groups and MIRANET itself.
Louder, please, we cannot hear it.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. Good.
Close to the microphone, all of you.
Okay, so I'll read the question again. We've got here our previous mayor, Barney Comrie, after agreeing not to use strong mayor powers issued by the premier, had an about-face and decided to utilize them over the fourplex housing issue. Many residents feel that using strong mayor powers disenfranchises voters. Will you agree to not use strong mayor powers?
And this is directed first to Deepika.
Thank you. I do not foresee requiring to use strong mayor powers. We had Hazel McCallion, a very strong mayor, who never had to use strong mayor powers because they weren't there. So I believe you can be a strong mayor and a team player and get things done. So I do not believe I will need to use them. Thank you.
I think the goal is obviously always to have consensus among council, and council always rules together, and we're almost always unanimous. The issue around fourplexes was a complicated one around the timing where our mayor was away on leave and wasn't there for the vote. So her using her powers brought the vote back in order for us to consider it again when she was there. But more importantly, we had been spending months negotiating with the federal government to get more funding to build housing in the city, which we critically need. And that motion was critical to us getting $113 million from the federal government. And I think that's an important step that we were needing to take. I live in what is essentially is a fourplex. I think there's some misunderstanding around it because I have a semi-detached home with 2 basement apartments, one on either side. And we've had that for generations in the city of Mississauga. What we're doing and moving forward with fourplexes in the city of Mississauga is within the existing zoning and framework, and we can get that housing built. Thank you.
The mayor's superpowers. On occasions, yes, I would use them, and one instance would be to go back in and remove the fourplex mandates. Sorry, I would remove the fourplex mandates. That was just kind of done willy-nilly when coming out of stepping down, putting it in, and then re-stepping out. And the other place I would use it would be to remove Mississauga from UN 21. That was the Agenda 21 that was signed back in the 90s by a councillor, and that's why we're in the problems we're in. That's where I would use them. Other than that, I would not. Thank you.
So no, I think it's undemocratic the same way I think that not having Brian Crombie available for an opportunity for him to speak is undemocratic, or any of the people that were that registered to become mayor. But oh, is he here? There you go. So thank you very much. So no, it's undemocratic. I think it's wrong. The only time I would use it is if somebody wanted to order mushrooms for pizza on the council dime, then we'd have to put a stop to it. But seriously, no, I don't think I think it's undemocratic, and I think it's wrong. Thank you.
Well, I'm a big believer in consultation. I'm also a big believer in collaboration. And I've had over 500 community meetings. And because at the heart of what we're doing is we're here to serve everybody here. You're all shareholders. We call Mississauga the corporation. Well, you're shareholders of the corporation, and we're here to represent everybody. And part of that, the fundamental part of serving everyone, is asking you what your thoughts are. It's then you take it back and make decisions, educated, clear decisions on that. But coming in and arbitrarily using strong mayor powers to circumvent the process, I think, is fundamentally wrong. Thank you.
Okay, so our second question is, Mississauga residents feel betrayed, let down, and disillusioned by the lack of engagement and inclusion that persists with City Council. Including the previous mayor and elected officials over the years, community engagement is secondary and only sought-after decisions have been made. This frustration can be attributed to our low voter turnout. For example, council decisions on retail cannabis stores, injection sites, and grow-ops. If elected, what will you do to improve community engagement across the city?
And this is for Alvin first.
Thank you. It's so important that we get the opportunity to meet and talk and get feedback for all the programs and votes that we have to go through. And, you know, we try hard to get out there with our community meetings, with our engagement process, with the Your Voice at the City of Mississauga. There's a lot of distractions right now. But what we need to do is we need to improve the quality of that engagement. We have a lot of consultations around new development proposals where I see residents frustrated. They come and they share their objections and they're trying to say this is too much, but we need to be talking about how we can make that community better. How can we work with that project? How can we get more benefits from that? And that's what we need to be focusing on, is how to get better engagement and quality relationships throughout our consultations here in the city.
If you elect me mayor, my door will always be open. I will come to your house if I have to, if you can't travel. I will listen to everybody. I will open up the doors. I will have full communication with me, good or bad. That's where I stand. I want to be the voice of the people. Thank you.
So I'm going to answer this just a little differently. I like the idea of having an election every 2 years, because that seems to be the only time we get everybody gathered around and we can all listen to everybody's problems. And we all seem to care. We all come up with some great ideas. So that's one of them. The other thing I'd really like to do is start implementing the 2-term limit for councillors, 2-term for mayor. That way you get fresh blood, new ideas, you get listened to, and if you don't like us, we're easy to get out. And there's no conflict of interest with that. Good? Got it? Great.
I'm a big believer that, as I was just mentioning in my previous question, your answer that I was providing, that public engagement is at the heart of what we should be doing here. And as I am doing now in the current board that I'm representing, as mayor, I'll be doing the same thing, working with each councillor as well, right across our entire city. I think it's at the heart of what we do. To the fact that since first elected, I've been giving out my personal cell phone number, and I'll give it out here again. And that's because I believe that as mayor, you should be visible, you should be approachable, and that if you have something on your mind, you have an idea, you have a complaint, you should be able to be reached. So my number is 416-414-4402. That's 416-414-4402, and it's got a nice ring to it. Had to do that.
You know, when I was first elected to council, one of the first things that was proposed by certain councillors was to change the timing of the PDC. That is where all of the decisions around planning are made and where a condo is going to be built or townhouses. And they wanted to move that from the evening to the afternoon because it was, of course, more convenient for councillors to do it during the workday. And I was among the few who objected to that. And I said, well, you can't do that because working people cannot attend these meetings during the day. And so that just gives you an example of, and I was able to stop it, and they were, you know, and that was fantastic. You know, as mayor, I know one thing: a mayor's job is not at City Hall; it's out there in the community. And when I say community, it's not just about attending events, although that's really important. It's about having that pulse of sitting in coffee shops and cafeterias and talking to people. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Deborah Goss, Lakeview Ratepayers Association. My way or the highway. Many residents are struggling with public transit. It is expensive and takes too long to get from A to B. What is your vision of an improved transportation system for Mississauga?
And this one will start with David.
My vision for improved transit in Mississauga, make it available and accessible to everybody. We really have to go back in and talk to the people inside who have a lot of insight to what's going on, who have been ignored, and there's lots of cost savings, and there can be lots of new initiatives created if we listen to the people inside the transit, driving the buses and running them. And I think that way we could move forward and create a better transit system for the city. Thank you.
Okay, so this one's a personal favorite of mine. You need to jump on to tavaresformayor.ca and take a look. There's one about the rapid transit system and revolutionizing transit system in Mississauga. I go about telling you about the transponders that are on the buses that you currently have on the buses, and it tells you where the buses are at any given time in Mississauga. Real life update, beautiful. We need to incorporate that with the traffic management system in order to move the transit properly. It'll open up the lanes, turn the lights on, so you're actually, it's called indexing traffic. I've seen this work in Brazil. We'll index traffic, and it'll index traffic as per the buses. Now, if we're smart, and I think we are, we can introduce the traffic management system with the bus management system, and we can do the same thing with cars, loop sensors, traffic cameras. We get people to move over. Ding dong, that's me. I'm sorry. Tavares for Mayor.
Well, for transit and transportation, I think fundamentally people will take something that's going to be convenient for their lifestyle or that they can be introduced to, and it's got to make sense. A lot of what we're doing with transit has to come back to the people that actually take transit, and that, you know, as we intensify and densify, we build along those transit corridors, it has to make sense. For example, we've got a bus rapid transit corridor that's under a hydro corridor right now, and that to me doesn't fundamentally make sense at its core, but we need to end up coming up with better solutions. For example, Dundas, we've got a bus rapid transit that's forecasted to go along that. I'm a big believer that that needs to be replaced, and we need to go in and upgrade to a subway. World-class cities deserve world-class transit, and have that extend from Kipling all the way out to here, Ontario, and then connect into the LRT.
Thank you. So we have a nice beginning with the LRT going north-south, but we need more east-west connections. And so I think we need an LRT east of Hurontario along Dundas. The BRT isn't going to cut it. Now there is, however, a plan at the City Hall, Toronto City Hall, to bring the subway to Sherway Gardens. Now if that happens, then it's a hop, skip, and jump to Mississauga, and I will bring the subway to Mississauga. That's number one. The other thing that I would like to do is the workhorses is the My Way for now. And we need to improve frequency, and we need to improve consistency and predictability. So I will invest in that. So that is my transit plan in 45 seconds.
I'm so excited to talk about transit. I mean, it's great during election time because we all want to get out there and say we need more transit. And so when the budget comes, we all know that we're going to vote for more transit options. And what we need to do is fix a 40-year mistake where we turned down the subway coming from Kipling. And we have a chance now, as the province and the federal government are really interested in expanding transit and building around transit-oriented communities, to take that opportunity and build rapid transit across the city of Mississauga. North, south, east, west, all along the north, all along the south, and the corridor, so that we have a rapid transit grid of high-speed, reliable transit so that you don't have to wait more than 10, 15 minutes to get a bus. Once it's reliable, once it's safe, once it's connected to everything else, then we're giving people a real option to get around the city and consider getting out of their cars. Thank you.
Hello Hello, I'm Jillian Chassels from White Oaks Lorne Park Community Association. RAs, which are residents associations like myself, have little to no revenue streams, but try to organize events for their community at no cost to residents, which also support the city, such as community cleanups, garage sales, community events, etc. However, current city procedures and costs for nonprofit is a deterrent to organizing these events and are not supportive of RA's good intentions of building and networking for their communities. What would you do to eliminate red tape imposed by the city and eliminate city charges for community groups?
And George will start this round.
Okay, so this one's going to be new because Bill 185, the Reducing Red Tape Act, or the Modified Reducing Red Tape Act, in there it says that you are allowed to modify certain regulations or red tape. They're supposed to remove the red tape for certain things. This might fall under that. And I think there's an opportunity to pull money from our budgets specifically for that, and it's supposed to remove the red tape. Now, it's really meant for a variety of things, for infrastructure, but I think we can manage to squeeze a little bit out of there. And if I'm not mistaken, I think every one of your councillors have a contingency plan that we can pull from. Is that right? Maybe you guys can write a nice little check, write it out. No? Yes? I'm looking at you, Alan. Anyhow, that's how I would do it. Thank you.
Well, our community groups really are at the heart of our communities. They really are. And it's one where a lot of it is, it's not for the paycheck. It's not for anything other than going in and trying to help out your community and being a part of the community and forging a sense of community. I do know, and I have heard, that there have been issues with things like getting insurance at a reasonable rate. That's been one that's come up. And some of the others in terms of booking rooms and facilities. There are deals in place right now, but I think this is a really great opportunity to go back and have a wholesale look at this, because we're under a lot of pressure when it comes to provincial and federal governments to try to mute a lot of voices that are in our communities. And here's an opportunity that we can actually work along with our community groups to make sure that they are heard. It's something I do now. Each and every time that I have a ratepayer association that wants to hold an event, I have an amount of money that I allot to them on an annual basis. Thank you.
Thank you, and I want to begin by thanking all of the ratepayer associations for the amazing work you do. You're at the grassroots of community building, neighborhood building. And in my platform, I do have something for you. It's an up to $1,000 grant. You have to be a registered neighborhood association, and you will be eligible to apply for up to $1,000 from City Hall to do things like cleanups, just the things you talked about, removing graffiti, beautification of your neighborhood, improving your neighborhood. So I'm very excited about that, and I look forward to, bringing that, rolling that. And I did want to say one thing, which is, I think I'm the only candidate who actually has the subway in my platform in black and white. So it's there on my website. It's also there, I believe, maybe on my candidate card. I'm not sure, but it's on my website, so go check it out. Thank you.
Shore is here, right? I think you guys are over there. So the Sheridan Homelands Ratepayer Association, who I was with for almost 10 years, so many amazing activities and events happen there. All the fun fests that we've had, all the pumpkin parades. It's really what makes some of our small neighborhoods here in the community so great. It is, however, disproportionately in the south. In the more established neighborhoods, like I think I have 14, I think Councillor Dasco has 12, and I think Councillor Hornick is in the back, has 1. Oh, 2 now, congratulations. But what we need to do is find more ways to help other residents come together. And we need to support that. We need to have staff support for residents and for neighborhoods who haven't been sort of cohesively part together to come together. And we need to support them. So I have a $10 million fund that we want to put together for resident associations and BIAs to apply for, like the Arts and Culture Grant, to add to the activities that they're doing so that we can have stronger communities. Thank you.
One of the first things you have to look at is, why is the red tape still there? And that's something that we have to go back into and look at. But there's a way around it through the BIAs and the Mississauga Business Development, that we can work together and either create one form of getting money for the events, or they can be applied to collectively. But we need to get rid of the red tape so we can give the people what they need, so we can have a better community without being locked up, left in our house. Thank you very much.
My name is Petra Scheller from Ward 2, Lauren Park Estates Association. Peel shelters for asylum seekers are in crisis at 400+% capacity. People have died waiting outdoors in winter at Mississauga shelters. Although immigration is a federal government responsibility, what would you do to address this issue? And what would you do if elected mayor to contain and or eliminate this situation?
And we're going to start again with Stephen.
All right. Well, thank you for the question. This has hit just an absolute horrible situation where we've had asylum claimants, plus we've had a huge spike in homelessness as well. And this is one where we've had in from the cold program. I've been putting forward to our planning department to waive for temporary zoning so that we can go in along transit areas, places of worship that we can end up having as shelters as well. But really, at the Peel region, where there is just over 400% capacity, we've been going into our reserves about $3.5 million a month, and then going back to the federal government to try to get reimbursed. We do have some reimbursements already, but at the rate that we're going right now, it's not sustainable, and we need a mayor that's going to go in and work with the federal government to get a new deal for us. Thank you.
Thank you. So what's happening is completely unacceptable. Putting asylum seekers in shelters, our shelters were never built for that. It's wrong, it's Band-Aid. We need a permanent solution. And the Region of Peel's been leading on it, because what the region wants to do is build purpose-built not homes, but dormitory-style homes for asylum seekers to set them up for success before they go on their way to find more permanent housing. The problem is the federal government is missing. We cannot do this without the federal government. This year we are on track to spend $84 million to support asylum seekers. There's a better way, a cheaper way. The federal government needs to be at the table. I've been leading on this for some time now, and as mayor, I will continue to lead. Thank you.
This is a challenge that's gotten worse and worse every month. We're over 400%, as you said, of our shelter capacity. And we're doing everything we can. We recently opened a new shelter for asylum seekers exactly where my campaign office is, and there's 300 people living there right now. And we need to be more nimble, more creative in terms of changing our bylaws to have more availability for us to open more shelters across the region. And Councillor Hornick and I worked on a motion last summer where we were looking at modular homes and other ways that we could get more housing built quicker in order for people to be able to be sheltered properly. And we've turned that at the region into a number of these shelter projects that we're going to be building. But we need more housing. We need more affordable housing. We need more supportive housing. This is part of that chain and leveling up in terms of housing that we need to build in the city. And that's where we need to focus. Thank you.
Well, what we need to do is hold the federal government accountable for what they do. They need to fund this, and they need to continue to fund this. We shouldn't be going into our reserves to look after these people that need our help. The federal government sends hundreds of millions and billions of dollars out of this country to help other people in humanitarian aid. But right now, our federal government is letting our sitting down, and as mayor, I will put as much pressure as I can on them to fund this before they send any money out of the country. Thank you.
I'm always a little disappointed when I hear them talking about money, because it's not about money, it's about each other. I did come up with a plan, and I did steal some of the ideas from Councillor Hornick and Councillor Tejo, and that was to use the small homes that they wanted to put, but they didn't have a place to put them, so I was suggesting that we put them at City Hall. I was saying the City Hall parking lot. I was saying the City Hall underground parking lot, because it had all the infrastructure that they needed. It had water, electricity, and had security, and it was close to transit. When you think about it, it actually does make some sense. But most importantly, and I think this is great because the councillors can then take the transit to and from work because they say it's great. And once you start identifying how difficult it is, maybe then you start pulling your weight and making it happen. And I mentioned this yesterday, and I apologize if I made a joke of it. It wasn't intended to be that way. So I apologize if you think it's funny, but it's actually, I think it's a pretty smart idea. Thank you.
Can we have one more question from the residents' associations, and then we're going to go to 2 roving mics. And we've just had a comment from our channel on the Zoom, and Gracious, if you could double check, they're having a problem hearing through the Zoom channel. If you could help back there, that would be appreciated. And for anybody else that's at the back, there are about 5 seats at the front here, if you'd like to come and sit down. Go ahead.
Okay, and for our final question, is it ethical and truly a democratic process for councillors to support other sitting councillors for mayor or a ward councillor during an election campaign? Is it ethical for political parties to influence municipal elections?
So, my focus is on the residents of this city. That's the support that I am seeking. The only support that matters is the voters. And that's all I've been focused on. And that's all I will continue to focus on. And I just want to thank everybody who so far has, asked for signs, has come out to volunteer, has pledged their support. And I'll continue to work hard because, as I said, the only support that matters is the support on the ground from residents like you. Thank you.
That's a really interesting question. And if you look at what the province of Alberta is doing right now, is they're implementing partisan politics in municipal government, which I think is wrong. I think it's good the way we have it right now, where everyone's independent and does not have to have a party affiliation supporting them. The trouble is we're in a very low information environment right now in the city of Mississauga, and all due respect to the media in the room, there isn't a lot of coverage of what's happening right now. And so people always veer towards trying to understand where people's alignments are. And one of the questions I often get at the doors, and I'm sure other people do too, is, where are your party affiliations lying? Who else is supporting you? And I think if we can share more information amongst ourselves, we won't need that. But right now we're in a situation where people need to know what you stand for and who else supports you as part of that plan. And I think that's appropriate. Thank you.
Well, being affiliated with a party can be good, and it can be hindering to your career in municipal politics. For some, people look at Liberals, they don't like them. They don't look at the Conservatives, they don't like them. NDP right now, there's a lot of conflict federally. So I think municipally we need to keep it individual and independent from the provincial and federal parties. And so we can keep it nice and tight within our own communities where we can build together independently from those governments. Thank you.
So this is particularly unfair to the councillors because, of course, I could throw them under the bus if I wanted to, but I won't. So here's the thing: if it was my way, I'd have the two-term limits for the councillors and two-term limits for the mayors. And by doing that, they need a job afterwards, so I can understand why they would reach for further politics. So I don't see it as an ethical dilemma if we do it my way. But if they're sitting councillors and they're lifetime councillors and they want to align themselves with particular parties, I have an issue with that. And at the very least, they need to make it known that they have every intention of lining up with a particular political party and what their policy would be. So I'm sorry, was that 2 or 3? Am I done? That's the one. Okay, my apologies. Thank you.
Well, at the heart of what we do, we're here for the city of Mississauga. And I'm a big believer that you don't go in with partisan politics, because if the federal or provincial governments change, you're at a disadvantage when you're here to try to get what's best for the city of Mississauga. When I set up my campaign teams for ward councillor and running for mayor, I make sure that I have a conservative co-chair, a liberal co-chair. I have people that are from the NDP party, the Libertarian Party, and I say, everybody check that at the door, because we're here for the city of Mississauga. And it's one that we all have to work together on to make sure that we've got something incredible. We've got a movement underway. We've got people all under the tent, and we're all working together for making us a great city. And that's really at the heart of what we're doing. And when it comes to our council colleagues, I get along with everybody along our council, right along Councillors Row, as they call it. And this is what you need to make a great city. Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to the audience with roving mics for questions. Can everybody hear me? And who's got the mics? For now, we're just going to go to the audience and we're going to have another round.
That's a question.
And the questions from the audience are to be 20 seconds with a 45-second response.
Good evening. Something's come to my attention here that all the parties up there on the stage, including the not present Carolyn Parish, have signed an agreement to follow basic, very basic rules to become mayor of our great city, including Deepika and Alvin. Unfortunately, it's come to my attention that the rule regarding sign placement for up to 29 days prior to an election, this law has been broken by the three of you. So if they, okay, well, there you go. What should be the repercussions of their actions?
So thank you for that question, and I can confirm that my campaign has not broken any sign bylaws. We have not put up any election signs, and we have confirmed this with the clerk as well. So no campaign rules have been broken. Thank you.
Signs are on Dixie Road, Coffin Road, all digital media across the city of Mississauga. There are signs present. Yours, Carolyn's, Alvin has signs on MIRANET Parkway. It's not a route, it's some of the rules. You're breaking the rules. It's not true.
So if I can just clarify that.
Is this a debate with people up there? No.
No, okay.
So, I mean, Councillor DeMerla had an answer. She is correct. My answer is also that, you know, we're allowed to put up signs outside our campaign offices. My office is on Erin Mills Parkway. It's only around my office. The digital display boards are not part of the sign bylaw. It's a different one, and it is 100% allowed. And we've confirmed this several times with the elections office in Mississauga. So thank you.
Sorry, did you want me to say anything else? Because I heard you say you want to hear my answer. You're good? But I will say this, I can see why you might have thought that the sign bylaw has been broken, but because paid advertising is separate and apart from the typical election signs that we think of, they're not governed by the same rules. Thank you.
Does anybody else on stage want to respond to that? Do you have more than...
Sure.
Go ahead.
So you'll obviously never see one of my signs because I've decided not to print any because it was only a 30-day thing. And I had decided that I wasn't going to take any contributions or volunteers for my campaign because I thought it would minimize the conflict of interest possibilities. So all of the information that you have on my website, it's tavaresformayor.ca, and all of the digital media form, social media and everything's written for me, by me, my thoughts, my ideas. If anybody has a problem with that, please contact me through email or phone calls, all online. Thank you very much.
David, do you not want to answer, or Stephen? Doesn't matter.
According to the laws and the rules of campaign signs, you can't put up lawn signs until the 12th of this month, but the electronic billboard signs are allowed. Yes, sir. Yes, you're welcome.
Well, with election signs, I found out in the last election because I didn't have money to buy an actual sign. So I went and I used one of my campaign signs, I put it up, and I had a very aggressive bylaw enforcement officer come up and told me that I had, I think it was 72 hours to remove the sign. And I did, and so it stuck with me, and I haven't put up an election sign of sorts since because it's inappropriate. Thank you.
A lot of your platforms discuss the idea of having a
Can you speak up, please?
The idea of having a community in Mississauga. However, one of the largest central community centers in Mississauga is up for demolition in the coming years. So I was wondering, if any of you become mayor, what are you going to do about that? Are you going to allow for affordable housing to come into Mississauga under the pretense of, you know, a very large community center in central Mississauga to be destroyed? A lot of places that children and also elderly and adults go to, you know, build some sort of community. Are you going to allow that to happen? Or are you going to find a way to stop that?
So, I'll take that.
Yes.
So,
Elvin will answer first.
Sure, thank you. I used to go to that Y. I went to Father Gates just around the corner, and that was my community center. That was my gym for years. I think it's a shame there was the YMCA that decided to sell the property themselves. Now, the good news is that they are working with a developer in the neighborhood within walking distance from where it currently is. It hasn't been announced yet, so I can't really give you all the details about it, but there will be another facility built in partnership in that neighborhood to service the people in that neighborhood with the YMCA. So I think that'll be good news, and on top of the fact that we continue to build and expand community centers across the city. Thank you.
Personally, I don't know much about this situation being on the outside, but I must agree with Mr. Tedjo that I like what he says, that the community is with the YMCA going to create another facility for people to go on. Well, when is the question? Again, I'm on the outside, so I don't have the answers. But you can vote for me and I'll be on the inside. Thank you. shawformayor.ca.
So one of the problems that we have with our city is we don't have any social capital, and it seems to be a growing concern. I think we need to start doing that. I think we need to find ways, or newer ways, to identify with each other, meet with each other, sit down and get to know our neighbors. I think one of the problems that we have, and this is Ward 5 specific, and not here obviously, we have a problem with the old Walmart that has been abandoned. I'd really like that to be changed around a little bit. I'd like that to be a hub. I'd like that to be a youth hub. I'd like it to be used for other opportunities, like a theater, like something like this. So I'd like to have some more. I'd like to have some more investment in our social capital. Oops, thank you.
Well, the YMCA, I believe, is what you're talking about. That was sold, and that was, from our understanding on council, this was one that the YMCA did. They're having some financial issues, but the biggest issue that we have in the city center is we let unlimited heights go on in the 80s, and there's no land that was retained. And this is where building out things, there was a plan several years ago called Downtown 21, which if you saw the plan, you'd say, wow, this is a fantastic city center. Where is it? It's here. It's right in our city center. It was to be in our city center. And this is where I think there's a real opportunity now that we can actually work with some of the developers that are going on here, and also with some of the land that we do have in the area to really get them put to better use. And as we're doing down on our waterfront with 145 acres of waterfront parkland, and also some new community amenities as well. The time is now to be able to forge us into a proper city. Thank you.
So I can confirm, as has been said, that the YMCA will be replaced with another YMCA, and it's going to be a public-private partnership. And I want to give John Kovac, who's not here, the local councillor for that area, a lot of credit. He worked very, very hard with city staff to save the YMCA, so kudos to him, a job well done. And I can tell you that we need to do more of these. We need to do more of these public-private partnerships so that we can continue to make sure that we have the recreation centers and the community centers we need as our population grows, without putting too much of the burden on the property taxpayer.
Applewood Residents Association has submitted a petition against the city, submitted a petition to the city against the present Bloor option. With recent additions, it has over 4,000 signatures. This is still being questioned by Councillor Fonseca, though. Upon completion of this Bloor project, the Dundas Busway project construction will start. And it will include bike lanes. It is projected for 4 years, and that traffic will move to parallel streets. Bloor will face constant gridlock and will be left with a mess. As mayor, do you feel that reopening this entire project now is in the best interest of everyone involved within Applewood? Thank you.
David, you're first.
You're on the recycling committee.
He will, but we'll start with David, please.
The situation in our city is dire right now, and so many projects are being put on the table that I think should be delayed right now, because we really need to look after our homeless, our people in the our asylum seekers, the people who need our help. We really need to redirect some of our money in this city to help these people and find affordable housing and build the small houses. And there's areas we can do that. We have lots of land up Highway 10, or sorry, 10th line, but what we need to do is take a step back from all this innovation and building and start directing the money and helping the people in the city first, and then doing the structure. Thank you very much.
Okay, the way I look at it, this is not about bike lanes, it's not about car lanes, it's about miscommunication, it's about poor communication, it's about optics. I think the city of Mississauga would benefit from bike lanes, but it wouldn't benefit from ignoring the people of Mississauga and, of course, the residents. I think it's shameful that the homeowners association, whose intention was to identify gaps in the problems and then bring it to city council and describe the problems, and then that person becomes villainized by saying that they wanted better or more or different, and they were villainized. They were treated poorly, they were ignored, social media treated them like dirt. And Athena, I apologize for everything that had happened to you. You deserve better. And I did say, sorry, and I would change the project. Jump online. Hey. Sorry, you're right. I'm sorry. You're right.
Yeah, as I had mentioned in my opening statement, and if anybody's going to blanket come out and say that this can be just nixed, they're not being truthful to you. And so this is something that has to come to get revisited by somebody that actually vote in the affirmative on it. And this is where I pledge as mayor, I will bring this forward to have it revisited. And so at the same time, this is something that we won't just revisit that, we'll also revisit the Dundas component as well, because make sure that we have proper consultation there as well. Thank you.
So I've been crystal clear on this and shown leadership. I voted against this when it first came to council. And we wouldn't be here if council had paid attention to the details and voted against it when we could have. There's a real problem here. We're taking away car lanes without giving car drivers an alternative. We are making bus transit worse. There's up to 5 bus stops at risk that'll have to be removed. Every time, there's about 2/3 of the stops, every time the bus stops, cars are going to stop behind it. There was an alternative where we could have put the bike lanes on the boulevard and kept the 4 car lanes. Yes. But that did not happen. I have opposed it from the get-go. And I also want to say, when people say that no one can do this alone, of course, but that's with every promise in every platform. You think you can bring the subway by yourself? Do you think you can freeze taxes by yourself? No. Every promise that every candidate's making is subject to council approval. Thank you.
So we've been knocking on doors, and I spoke to a widow whose husband died on Mississauga Road a few years ago, and we have edge lines, which are not bike lanes. But this isn't about bike lanes specifically. This is about building a minimum viable network of transportation across the city of Mississauga to give people safe and viable options to get around the city. And we have to build a network across the city of Mississauga. We've committed to Vision Zero. Vision Zero means no deaths, no injuries. We've all committed to that, every single person on council, because we believe that your life is worth more than 10, 15 seconds of traffic. And we're going to do everything that we can to support that. And this is supported by staff and experts, that this is the way that we need to move forward, and I continue to support this project.
In addition to affordable housing and improved transit, what would you advocate to make Mississauga a livable city?
George?
What was that mean? Okay, my biggest concern isn't just what we're doing with our budget, because that's a concern. And I think we need to revisit it. Instead of once a year, we need to revisit it 4 times a year to make sure that it's actually within it, so we can keep our budget numbers low. But I'm looking forward. I don't just look at what's going on today and yesterday. We're looking into the future. So the LRT cost overruns are coming due. I know that the Ontario government at one point in time said that they would pay, My Way would pay for the cost overruns and the budget overruns. But recently they said, nah, we got to change of heart. Now we're going to say, here's the bill, whatever the cost overrun is, and we will then have to share the cost with, of course, Peel Region. I would like to get that in writing to say the government will pay for it 100%, and if we can't get it, I want it done. So that we don't have to pay for it. Give me the cowbell. Give me the cowbell. Thank you.
Come around to me? Yes. Okay. Well, a livable city is something that I've been advocating for since getting on council. We actually have 2 larger developments that are happening towards the waterfront, which are truly complete, sustainable communities. Ones that have school in place, parkland in place, amenities in place, restaurants, shops, and the ability that you don't have the old concept of having that bedroom community where you wake up in the morning and you're all of a sudden in that rat race to go all the way downtown Toronto. This is changing, where we're bringing in more jobs here. We're now a net importer of jobs, the second largest employer in the province of Ontario. And so it's building truly a complete city that's got proper and world-class transit with amenities and arts culture and a home for literally everybody. But that's one that we all are on that path right now, and that's what our future is. Thank you.
Livability is front and center, and I've constantly said that the biggest thing that I want to do as mayor is that even as Mississauga grows, I want to minimize congestion. I want to make sure that our city continues to be a good place to live in. That means we have to manage the growth. That means being practical. That means not allowing decisions like Bloor Street that make no sense. It means, finding that compromise. It's not car lanes versus bike lanes. It's what's appropriate where. It's building more walkable communities because that reduces car reliance. It's about focusing the growth where it belongs along transit lines and minimizing impacts on established neighborhoods. Thank you.
So I believe a livable city is an affordable city. We need to focus on the affordability of the people in this city who are struggling more than ever before. I spoke to a woman at the door the other day who was in tears. She's a middle-class family. Both her and her partner have jobs. They have kids. They had to use the food bank for the first time in their lives, and they never thought that they would ever have to resort to that. So many Mississaugans are going to the food bank because this city is unaffordable. I am proposing a tax freeze for everyone in this city for the next 2 years. This is a responsible plan that helps put money back in people's pockets because I can't control the price of gas or the price of groceries or how much inflation is going up. But we can help people for the next 2 years to save hundreds of dollars so that they can continue to live in the city that we all love. Thank you.
Our biggest struggle to have a living city and people having a comfortable life is taxes. Federal taxes have gone through the roof. These climate change taxes are nonsensical. People can't afford it. They continue to overtax us, keep raising our taxes. We're told 3%. It could be 6, 7, or 8% citywide. 21% for a climate change. For what? Where's this money going? Food bank usage is way up. Is there any money coming in from the federal or provincial governments to start funding it instead of asking the people of the city to fund it who are struggling themselves? So we need to really push our governments to start, for the federal and provincial, to drop their taxes. Thank you.
With the loss of the Mississauga News, can you hear me? No. Oh. It's on? It's on. Okay, speak up. Okay, all your programs sound fantastic, but there is no media in Mississauga that can bring all these issues before the people. I mean, there used to be the Mississauga News, but now there's nothing. Is there anything that you can do as mayor or as the council to bring these issues before the people in a general way so that we all know what's going on in the city?
Stephen?
Okay. Well, I've been a huge supporter of local media, and it's unfortunate that we've gone on this downward spiral. And it's not just in Mississauga, it's in other areas. We used to have 2 weeklies that would come to our doors. The Mississauga Times, if you remember the Mississauga Times. I was a delivery boy back in the day. And the Mississauga News. And that was when we were a third the size that we are right now. Now we've got 0. And also we also had Rogers Cable 10. Now you have to go online, and if you're online, then the world opens up a little bit more with InSauga and the Pointer, etc. But this is something that really we need to see if we can work with some of the larger publications. If we come in with something that's going to make economic sense that we can work together with, because I agree we need to have, and there's a thirst out there to have local news. Thank you.
The lack of local news is a real challenge here in Mississauga. It really is, and it's really tragic. For a city our size, we should be having a thriving media. We should be having our own media station, our own television station. We do have Saga 960 AM, so that's a really great start, and I, as mayor, will do everything I can to support the growth of media here in Mississauga, because without a strong local media, it's democracy's loss. More than anything else, it really is. We know that a strong independent media is the fourth pillar of democracy. So everything I can do within my means, I would love to do that. Thank you.
So I do see John Stewart is here from the Mississauga News, as well as Paige Peacock from the Pointer. So if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to their stuff, because they are local reporters. If you haven't subscribed to the Pointer, please do that as well. We need to support the local media that we do have, and some of them have subscription-based models, and we should support them. The City of Mississauga also has an opportunity to do better. Each councillor has a newsletter that we can send out once a year with the city and once a year with the region. We can do more. Recently, in the last budget, I moved that we increase that opportunity so that the city would help us support delivering those newsletters, so that we could have more budget to send out more information to residents. We should be considering doubling that so that we can share the news coming out of the city of Mississauga, the programs that are coming up, the proposals that are coming up, so that we can better engage with residents, and that would be my commitment to you. Thank you.
Oh, excuse me. All I hear is spend, spend, spend. We'll do this, spend, spend, spend. We have technology out there right now, like Zoom, that we could have meetings on. And I would like to propose that if elected, I would have a Zoom meeting once a week. I'd like to bring back what Mayor Hazel had when we had Rogers Cable 10 and with the phone-in show and for the people. And I think opening up those lines of communication directly through Zoom with the people of the city is cost-free, and I think it's very beneficial. And we need to open up the lines of communication with the mayor's office, and that's one thing I will do. Thank you very much.
So those of you that haven't figured it out, I'm a techie kind of guy. We could use over-the-air technology in order to get aerial antennas, in order to get Cable 10 or a version of Cable 10 back. And that could give us an opportunity to at least, the licensing is relatively inexpensive, and that'll give us at least an opportunity to reach out to some of the people in Mississauga that don't want to use technology. They don't like phones, they don't want to use data. I'm not sure why, I don't care. But if you have a TV and you have an antenna, you should have the opportunity to hear what's going on in the city of Mississauga. And I actually pushed for this in 2022 when I ran for the first time as mayor. So I'd like to see if we can make that a real thing happen. So thank you very much.
My question is very simple. This is regarding communication. This is a question for all of the candidates. Number one, the roads are dismal in Mississauga. Take an example. At the junction of Ontario and Dundas, this has been going on for as long as I can remember. Now, all the roads, potholes, raised manholes, umpteen other factors which cause absolutely chaos. There is no one helping
excuse me, sir, can you maybe
solve this problem.
Just go right to your question?
How are we going to solve the problem? How are we going to stop this useless time wasting? We can't go on like this. This is fundamental, basic thing. How are we going to solve it?
Thank you for the question. I agree with you. Our roads need a lot of attention. And we need to reprioritize. And you know what I'm going to do? The $27 million that we're going to save from not doing this Bloor Street project, I can redirect that to resurfacing some of the roads that need to be resurfaced. So there's things we can do. We just need to be very smart about how we prioritize our projects. It is true that many of our roads are in conditions that are not acceptable, and as mayor, I will do an audit of all of the roads and really start to prioritize fixing, because we got to get the basics right. That's what we need to do before we can build more. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, we need to be honest with what we're talking about here. Bloor Street is a $27 million integrated project that includes resurfacing Bloor. So we can't just take it and then not resurface Bloor. But what we need to do is we need to stay focused on the budget, which we have a considerable amount towards road resurfacing across the city of Mississauga. We have 85% of our roads at the highest standard that we have in the city, and that's considerably better than, you know, Hamilton or Toronto if you drive through there in terms of the number of potholes. That is something that the City Council has consistently voted to support, and that we want to maintain that service level across the city of Mississauga. Unfortunately, here in Ontario right now is going under significant construction with the LRT, and that's something that we're going to have to deal with. That was the #1 worst road according to the CAA, so we need to do a lot better with the contractors on that street. Thank you.
Well, there's not a lot you can do with the construction other than try and speed it up so then the roads can be improved. Bloor Street needs to be put on hold.
Yes.
Just put it on hold for now. We have many more things that are needed in this city and people to look after. And that's where I would like to direct it. But we need to also get our services better. We need to hire more people with the city and get more vehicles out there that can repair the roads, repair the potholes quicker and faster so the roads themselves don't deteriorate further. Thank you very much.
Okay, one of the things that I'm really good at is designing contracts. One of them is the scope of work portion of the contracts. And I think we screwed up here in Mississauga. Every scope of work in the city of Mississauga should include the right to drive without losing the bottom of your car, which of course is, I'm joking, but it needs to be in there. We neglected that portion of it, and if it's in the scope of work, in any one of our contracts, it has been neglected, and that needs to be resolved. So that's the very first one, because this would never work in Europe. Being told that here Ontario was one of the top worst roads in the city of in Canada, which is supposed to be an insult. It shouldn't have been laughed off like it was in council. So I was really disappointed and quite furious that nobody took it seriously. So if there is no scope of work that says that you have to ensure that the roadway is particularly perfect, or if the walkways are particularly perfect, or if the bike lanes are blocked, all of that has to be maintained. It has to be in the scope of work, and it has to be actionable items if it hasn't been. Give it a ring. Okay, thank you.
Can we have one more audience question, and then we're going to go to the candidate challenge after Stephen?
Well, you know, you bring up a very good point when it comes to roads. And if anybody is telling you, like some have told you here tonight, that money could be like pixie dust going from one place to the other, that's just not truthful. Right now, we have a situation where we budget out our roads, but unfortunately right now we're being constrained by having a lot of our money going up to the region, where there's an opportunity, and this is what we're working through, and part of that dissolution is having, good to see Frank Fang, is having, sorry if you don't mind, is having our roads getting downloaded here, to the city of Mississauga. Right now, we're operating with 35-cent dollars. That means for every dollar you pay in property tax, 35 cents stays here. That's very antiquated. It doesn't work. And as well, it goes to show you, sir, when it comes to the roads, absolutely, things have to be done better, and we will be doing better, because with me as the mayor, we will make sure that we get the proper deal, the one that we can actually reinvest into our infrastructure to have, again, our infrastructure that is second to none. Thank you.
right, now we're going to go to our candidate challenge portion of the meeting. We'll come back and we'll have questions again, so don't worry about that. We want to go to the candidate challenge, and we're going to be starting with Alvin, and Trevor's going to bring you a question. Let me just remind everybody again, a candidate is going to read out a question. He can then decide who he's going to direct that question to, and the person that receives the question can then decide to answer it, boomerang it back to Alvin, or make one of the other candidates answer the question. Go ahead, Alvin.
So I'm not allowed to answer the question myself?
No.
Okay.
That's interesting.
All right. George, the city has seen a huge rise in crime. As mayor, what will you do to ensure the safety of residents in Mississauga? Do you want it?
I only have 2 minutes to do this? 2 minutes.
No, you've got 45 seconds if you wish to answer. Or you can give it to somebody else, George, or you can send it back to Alvin.
I'll take it. It's going to suck, but I'm going to take it. Tavaresformayor.ca, I have a specific idea to fix this. First, it's the cameras that we have for the red light cams. They'll be turned on for the following: noise cameras, speed cameras, what was the other one that I had there? Red light cams and insurance cams. It'll identify whether or not you have insurance, whether you're speeding, whether you got your modified muffler. That'll stop those crimes. You're talking about car crimes. There's already something being done with Patrick Brown. He's changed an opportunity so that we have jurisdiction at the CN rails to collect and catch cars that are being being transferred in the CN rail, because right now our law enforcement officers don't have an opportunity to arrest anybody because they don't have jurisdiction. That's all I can do. I'm sorry. Oh, I can do it. Oh, sorry. You pass it to me. Okay.
Councillor Dasko. What 3 issues would you address so Mississauga taxpayers can be more efficiently be served?
Well, first of all, going through and having a department-by-department value for money audit is the one that we really need to address. You need to get to the bottom of everything of what you're doing, targeting your spend, coming up with your mandate. We do have our future directions plans and things, but the reality is you need to make sure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. And unless you're getting the best bang for your buck, then you're always going to be looking at your elected representatives and say that you're not doing what we're supposed to. I was the only one of anybody that's running for mayor that actually voted against the regional budget this year. City was 2.3%. That was 4.5%. You put them two together, nobody cares. You see 6.8% coming in your bill for your taxes, and it's unacceptable. I voted against it because it wasn't good, and I'll make sure that we end up getting better deals for the city of Mississauga.
And this is what the people of Mississauga need to understand. The end goal of a 15-minute city is your enslavement. And I'm very serious about that. The end goal of look it up, 15-minute city will be your enslavement. You won't be able to leave more than 100 times, if that. This is why they want digital ID and digital cash, so they can monitor you, and they'll use the police to monitor you going in and out. And if you leave more than 100 times in a year, you will be fined going in and out, and they have the option to cut off your money too. That is the end goal of 15-minute city. It's hard to believe, but this is the Agenda 2030 platform. Thank you.
Okay. All right, what is number 10? Okay, what is your most important achievement to date? And I direct this to whoever I want. Okay, I'm going to go with Alvin.
Thank you, Stephen. You know, there's a lot that we've done over the last year and a half. But what I'm going to say is our motion on fourplexes. My answer is on fourplexes, because I believe that we took a big step forward to build more missing middle and gentle density housing in the city of Mississauga. And we need more housing in the city, and that was a big step forward for us to get the support from the federal government in order to do that, and in order to unlock that potential that we have in our city. They're not going to get built everywhere. They're going to get built where it's appropriate. There's a lot of regulations and rules around how we're going to build fourplexes in the city of Mississauga, and I'm proud that as a city and as a council, we're embracing this and we're moving forward. Thank you.
So the question here is, where are your favorite places to spend time in our city? And I'm going to direct this to George Tavares.
Oh, wow. You know what? I'm going to boomerang that.
Thank you, because I really wanted to answer the question. Korea Park comes to mind. I love Port Credit. I really, really enjoy, there's a restaurant at Hurontario and just north of Matheson, Bristol Road. It's called Maharaja Bhog, really great Indian food. So if you're ever looking for a good Indian restaurant, I would go there. I like Streetsville. I like any part of Mississauga that's really walkable and has a main street. I just love those parts. And so I like to do as much as I can to go and support those communities. And of course, I like our lakefront. I love going to Rattray Marsh. I love, there's this particular point at Jack Darling Park that I like to stand, and you can see Oakville on one side, and then you can see Toronto on the other side. So the list is endless. Thank you.
Alvin, that's question number 12.
Okay. I heard a lot of places in Ward 2, Tivika. You're welcome to come anytime.
It's everybody's city.
Yes. All right. Councillor Demerla, many residents feel a 30-kilometer speed limit is too low. Would you support changing the current automated speed program going forward as is, or changing the speed limit to 40 kilometers an hour?
You know, we actually reduced it from 40 kilometers to 30 kilometers, and I think we've landed in a good place. We do, as a city, place a premium on safety, and so I'm good with where we've landed. Thank you.
Number 13, David.
Number 13, if elected mayor, what changes would you make to streamline many of the existing laborious and tedious processes for citizens dealing with the city of Mississauga? Example 311, bylaw enforcement, or only getting back to residents within 10 days, which is too long. George Tavares.
So can I boomerang it, or can I send it back to?
You may boomerang it.
Oh, no, can I give it to Steve?
You can.
Yes, you can.
You can send it to whoever you wish, or boomerang it back.
On you, Steve.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I am a big believer that we need to have a city hall that's open for everybody. It's everybody's city hall, and we can't have it where you end up having to book appointments if you want to go in to get work done. If you want to go in and talk to somebody, you have to have it open for everybody, and to make sure that, quite frankly, 311, and I'm one that actually calls in quite often. I happen to be in an area that is very, very busy during the summertime, a lot of activity going on, so I do tend to call into 311 on behalf of residents to get things done, and I get frustrated as well. So I can appreciate that, and you know, we need to do better, and that's having reinvestment and proper training for our 311 operators, because it's a heck of a hard job for them to do, and they need to do it more efficiently and make sure that they know that the city has their back on this too.
All right, David, ready? Not about your mustache. The size and overall cost of the city is excessive. The size and overall cost of the city's government is excessive. What steps will you take to reduce the overall cost so taxes don't keep spiraling?
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Councillor Demerla.
you know, there's a few things that need to happen. The reality is this, and I'm just going to be very plain speaking. Municipalities are every single year asked to do more and more using the same property tax base. So I'm going to be honest with you. We heard this complaint about road resurfacing. And then you hear politicians say they're going to freeze taxes. So you have to ask the question, how do you square this, right? I'm going to freeze taxes, but I'm also going to fix your roads ASAP. It's not going to happen. So if we want our taxes to be sustainable, yes, we can look for efficiencies and all of that, but we need a new deal. We need the federal government and the provincial government to start funding cities, because we are being asked to provide services that typically in the past the province and the feds used to. We're being asked to do it. I'm happy to do it as mayor. I want the funding from the federal government and provincial government, not on the backs of our property taxpayers. Thank you.
Number 15. Okay, question is, what shortcomings do you see in our city budget and how will you fix it? All right, I'm going to put this over to George Tavares.
Okay. One of the highest budget item numbers that we have is police budget. I'd like to change a few things around about that. I'd like to, instead of increasing it just arbitrarily, I'd like to increase it on a performance-based increase. So as crime starts to go down, their budget starts to go up. So the idea is, as your crime rate starts to drop, and it gives an incentive for the law enforcement officers to put in more of an effort into it, you get better policing, you get better, what's the word I'm looking for? Sorry, you get better policing, you get better engagement, and you get better understanding of kind of how the police officers work. I think if we manage to do that, it'll keep a good portion of our budget down. It gives everybody an opportunity to see where the money's going, and you start seeing real results in regards to our policing and our police force. So those are my options, or those are the ideas that I was coming up with. Yes, I see it. I'm sorry.
Deepika, last question for you.
How will you keep our AAA credit rating? David Shaw?
Responsible spending. Opening the budget every 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, making sure things are smooth, making sure things aren't being overrun, making sure the city's being run financially, fiscally, responsibly, and just keeping tabs of everything and where everything goes. And that's how we can keep things in control. Thank you.
All right, can we go back to our resident associations and ask a few more questions, and then we're going to go back to the audience.
Wonderful. Intensification and destabilization of neighborhoods. The provincial government is mandating intensification policies that is going to destabilize not only our neighborhoods, but the city of Mississauga as a whole. What are you going to do as mayor to advocate to the province for thriving neighborhoods in Mississauga?
We'll start off with Alvin.
Thank you. You know, every level of government and every political party is on the same page, the fact that we need more housing. When they're talking about intensification, they're talking about transit-oriented and along the transit corridors. We're a great city of small neighborhoods. That's not going to change. We need to find the neighborhoods and the spaces in between, the major arteries, the corridors, areas around the new transit areas that we've got huge funding commitments from, $6 billion for the Milton line. We need to intensify along those areas that are going to be able to support the walkability, the sustainable neighborhoods, the places that people want to go that Councillor DeMerle is talking about that have these main streets. That's where we're going to be building, and that's where we need to be intensifying the most, on top of the gentle density missing middle that we're going to build everywhere else. Thank you.
Again, this infilling of our city is an Agenda 2030 project. It's all part of the how shall I put this? It's all part of the control system of us. We do need housing, definitely we need housing, but we can't have that pressure put on us by the federal governments and just forcing us to do things. We really need to step back and look after the people we have in our city now that are suffering in their homes, in the shelters, and in the people living in tents. We really need to focus and get that right and get the houses. And I would like to see Lakeview built. I think the developers would love to build it because it's very good. 6,000 jobs, 8,050 homes. Thank you very much, sir.
I love election time because everybody starts talking about how important housing is and what they're going to do to fix it. But the best part about all of this is now it's mandatory. Bill 185, the modified version of it, the Reducing Red Tape Act, now makes it mandatory for us to reduce red tape in the city council, or for the municipalities to reduce red tape, to get rid of the minimum parking, which I think they did a couple of weeks ago. Gets rid of, what was it, the Use or Lose It Act, so that builders have to build at a reasonable time, otherwise they get to lose that opportunity. All of those things are really, really important, but without community involvement and your ability to say yes or no to certain things, it's all going to suck. So, there's my answer. Is that okay?
I happen to currently be the councillor with over 40% of the development applications for the entire city in my ward. And I will tell you, we're also constrained by being in between a lake and a railway track with Lakeshore Road and a pinch point in Port Credit. And this is where following official plans and local area plans really is at the heart of building out a city. Consulting with not just the residents, but our planners and also the developers. And you come up, we're mandated growth target numbers, and it's up to us to fulfill them. Having blanket zoning right across the entire city, that's not how we built our city. That's not how you define your character of your neighborhoods. You define it by hard work and making sure that you've got a city that makes sense. And right now, we are going to be fulfilling that by taking us from a bedroom community to a cosmopolitan city. Thank you.
As we speak, I have 7,000 units that are in various stages of application to be developed. So I know a thing or two about growth. It's certainly, my ward's one of the fastest growing wards in the entire city, and that's because I have the Huron-Ontario LRT. And I have a very simple plan to ensure that our city continues to be livable. We have to minimize congestion. And how do you do that? Don't build everything everywhere. That's not going to do it. Focus the growth. Focus as much as possible of the infill along transit lines so that we can minimize the impacts on the rest of the city and make sure Mississauga continues to be livable. Thank you.
Okay, go. We talk about value for money and fiscal responsibility, yet Council approved a $27 million fire department expansion based on false data. It will raise taxes permanently by 5%. Council refused to investigate the allegations despite the fire chief's confirmation. In addition, certain Mayoralty candidates accepted fire union contributions or endorsements. This, in my opinion, creates a conflict of interest. And secondly, the city doesn't also publish the proper tax increases. For 2024, they were actually 6.4%. In 23, they were 8.4%, yet it divides by Peel. How can we trust the candidate councillors?
It's going to start with David.
Well, there seems to be a little bit of deceit going on and smoke and mirrors as far as taxes go, and this really needs to be looked into. why we've been told one number when in actual fact it's another number. We really need to, I think we really need to have some kind of audit in our city because things have gotten a little questionable. And that's what I would do. I would look at auditing these kinds of situations that have been brought forward that have been kind of hidden behind. And that's what I would do. Thank you very much.
So my campaign relies on transparency, and my entire job relies on it as well. So I've received an email from somebody about this exact same thing, and we went back and forth a little bit, and one of the last questions that they asked, 2 questions, and it was, would you show the entire bill of sale or whatever you want to call it, but would you actually be accurate in describing how much money the increase would be, or the percentage would be? And the answer is yes. And the other one was, if you found something that was inappropriate, would you report it? And the answer would be yes. And I think that's a requirement for anybody that wants to do this job, to have enough incentive and enough strength to say this is wrong and we need to investigate it. Nothing wrong, never a wrong time to do the right thing. Thank you.
Well, having an open and transparent process is always at the heart of everything that gets done. All bids and tenders that go out are always open to the public. When it comes to our fire master plan that's gone out in terms of expenditures, that's always one that certainly we can bring before our audit committee. We do have an audit committee in the city that is also open to the public as well, and I invite yourself and anybody here that would like to participate. I think there's no issues with bringing that before audit to make sure that that was done in a proper, responsible way, but also to not reinvest in our fire halls is, when we see the growth that we're coming. For example, we've got Lakeview right now, which was out of the 60s, is finally going from a 1-truck spot to having 2 trucks to deal with the intensification. So we do have to invest, but we want to make sure that we target that spend to make sure that we get the most out of it. Thank you.
As our city grows, and now we're going to grow differently, not horizontally, much of our growth is vertical, so we really need to look at how fire responds. It's very different for fire to respond to a series of high rises as compared to low rises, so we're going through that process to make sure that our fire department is ready for the newer version of Mississauga that's being built. If there are any suggestions of irregularities, absolutely happy to bring it forward to the audit committee. And I finally just want to put to rest this whole confusion around the rate of tax increases. It's a blended rate. So nobody at council, nobody is misrepresenting. It's a blended rate. It's the same formula used not just at the region of Peel and the city of Mississauga, but across Ontario, wherever there are 2 levels of government, it's the blended rate, and that's how it's presented. Thank you.
But you do the Mississauga budget and not the Peel budget. Why aren't you open about the rate? 8.3% in 2023.
Thank you, Axel. We're going to move on to the next item. Okay. Oh, is Alvin still there? Okay. All right. And then we're going to go to part 4.
Yeah, we do sit on both boards, so we do that. But I do feel like we need to defend our city staff here. We've got an amazingly run city of Mississauga. We're one of the best municipalities in the entire country to live in. We should be proud of that. We audit ourselves on a regular basis, and we have a phenomenal team. We've been a lean organization in terms of our budget for decades. And I got to defend our first responders here too. My wife's an emergency room nurse. She has gone through a lot, has seen a lot of what people have gone through over the last several years. And when our first responders are needed, that's when we want them. We can't be thinking about the dollars and cents around that. Obviously, we're going to be reasonable. Obviously, we're going to do what makes sense. But my dad fell off the roof last year, and it took 8.5 minutes for 911 to come in. That's not acceptable. When you need it, that's the responsibility of the city. You call 911, you want somebody to show up. I'm not going to nickel and dime the city to save people's lives. That's what we need to do.
right, now we're going into part 4, our lightning round, 20 seconds, yes or no.
First question. Were you in favour of the Ford government's decision to not allow the disbandment of the region of Peel and allowing Mississauga to separate? That's a yes or no answer.
Are we for or against? You're asking.
In favour of.
Are you in favor of dissolution? Are you in favor of canceling dissolution?
Am I in favor of canceling dissolution? I was the only person that said it in 2022 that it was a bad idea. I campaigned in 2022 saying it was bad. 2023, sorry. Yes or no? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't want the dissolution. Which one is that? No? Yes? Yes.
Here, here.
Thank you.
Yes is canceling the dissolution, so keeping the region together.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Stephen?
No, I believe Mississauga could stand on its own. We're the third largest city in Ontario.
Yes or no?
Yes, we should have gone on our own. No, so no, I was against the dissolution, and yes, we should be going on our own.
No.
No.
Yes, we should be going on our own, removing the Ontario government. So that'd be a no.
All right, so can I just clarify, because, can I just clarify, because the yes and no is getting so confusing, so I'm just going to say this. I'm in favor of an independent Mississauga.
If I may quickly comment, and we need to remove the Ontario government from the region of Peel. I think the city of Mississauga could take over running the region of Peel ourselves and eliminate that level of government from our city, who turn around and charge us $1 million and they want us to pay for it for doing nothing. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Would you support prioritization of resident delegations and or questions to council and committee meetings?
Stephen, 20 seconds. Or was that a yes or no?
Yes or no, sorry.
Yes or no? Repeat the question. Sorry, Petra.
Would you support prioritization of resident delegations and or questions to council and committee meetings?
Yes, of course.
Absolutely, yes.
Yes.
Yes, my office is always open.
Yes.
Next question. Are you in favor of the federal carbon tax? Yes or no?
No.
Yes.
No.
No.
Is it done again?
No.
No.
All right, at this point, let's go to the audience for some more questions.
Hello. So we talked about the big issues. What about some small stuff? On youth and affordability. What are your thoughts on building refrigerated outdoors rinks in many neighborhoods, not just one? Okay, so all kids and adults can practice and can learn skating. Many of us, many of you here, that's how you learned. And part two, locked tennis courts in almost all Mississauga. Our residents are going to the neighborhood cities if they want to play occasionally tennis, or they use school walls or whatever they can. Can city actually maintain these courts?
I think it's Stephen.
Well, absolutely. I've got the first refrigerated skating trail in the entire city right now, aside from that, what we have at Celebration Square. That was not something that was part of the city budget. That was, we had a one-time gas tax fund that I brought in, and also worked with, there was the Shores of Port Credit that came in, for example, and there was some, what they call Section 37. I put that money to work for the community to provide that and have it free and open for everybody. And this is something that I believe we need more of right across the city, absolutely. And that is something that I do know that the city has looked at. I know some other ward councillors are very much in favor of that as well. But having more outdoor amenities is really at the core of really what's going to make us a great city. And I've been doing a significant amount in Ward 1. And what I've done there, from concrete chess tables, pickleball courts, etc., the refrigerated rink. This is things that we need to be doing across our city to make sure that we have truly a great city. Thank you.
So short answer, yes to both. And in my own ward, we have one refrigerated outdoor rink, and it's very, very popular, and it's volunteer driven, and it's just such a joy to see the young kids over there. So yes, and yes, I know we need more tennis courts and we need more pickleball courts, and I'm good to support both of them. Thank you.
I mean, the health and wellness of our community is paramount, and so many seniors right now have needing more opportunities to get around. Lake Aquitaine, if you go around that track that goes around the lake, is amazing. You've got all these bodywork workouts that you can do. It's fantastic, and people love going out there and going for walks. We absolutely need more refrigerated ice pads. When we lost Chick Murray, we didn't really replace it. I mean, Burnthorpe is beautiful, but we need more. We need a purpose-built outdoor rink. And 100% pickleball is just exploding. We can't necessarily convert and use tennis courts for that, so we need purpose-built pickleball around the city of Mississauga as well. Yeah, most of the tennis courts are on city property, and they are run by clubs, and you have to be a member of the club. But all the new tennis courts and pickleball courts that the city is developing are going to be run by the city and can be booked by the city. That's the direction the city is going in.
David?
I'm also a yes and yes. Outdoor rinks. City of Toronto has 40, 50 of them, and they're fully used. I've had to go there myself when I was able to play hockey as an older man, but I no longer can. I love the game of hockey, and over the years, sports have been taken away from the children, especially in our schools too. We need to get track and field going. We need to get these kids active in our schools, starting at 4-year-old, 5-year-old. All the sports have been taken away there, and that's where we need to direct budget money in our schools. Get the kids active, and let's build rinks, refrigerated rinks, because our winters are a little iffy, and they're very successful in Toronto. They're always full. Thank you.
So with the last name of Tavares, obviously hockey is a very important sport for me. Thank you. So is golf. Yeah. Nice. So I just finished playing hockey just before I came here, so I'm a little tired to begin with. Still play. I'm a goalie.
Responses for all the rest of the questions. Thank you.
Okay, folks, hey everybody. My name is Sam, and I'm a recent grad, recently moved, and I want to build my life here in Mississauga. But there's some major issues that are of great concern to me, and so I want to know what you guys are going to do to help me build my life here and to help make the city more accommodating and more accessible to people of my generation. Firstly, I currently live with my fiance's parents, so I'd love to move out, but frankly, housing prices in Mississauga are exorbitant, and my options are quite slim. Secondly, I share a car with my fiance, and when she's out doing shifts at the hospital, I feel trapped at home. I don't have any transit options that can get me anywhere fast in Mississauga. I can't go to the park across the street because there's no crosswalk without getting run over by a car. And I bike everywhere I can in the city at my own peril because we don't have proper bike lanes. So I'd like to know your perspective on these issues and how you plan on building the city out, and specifically for people of our generation to make this place more livable.
Deepika?
Thanks, Sam. Great question. I only have 20 seconds, so I'm going to say this. One of my centerpieces really is to make sure that Mississauga is attractive to young people, because we need your energy. We need your entrepreneurship. You are our future, and a city without young people just doesn't have the joy de vivre. So, I held an entire town hall to hear from young people like you, and I'm happy to have this conversation, but I can give you my commitment that the next 50 years of Mississauga is about making sure people like Sam find a home in Mississauga and can thrive.
In the last 10 years, as a city, we didn't grow in population because everybody was leaving and the people were coming in or replacing them. But we don't have enough around to support the people here. We have a completely unaffordable city. We have completely unaffordable housing. We really need to tackle this issue with new leadership, with someone who is willing, with the conviction that I have, to push forward these ideas that we need to get done in order to let this generation thrive in this city. Otherwise, we're going to lose them. And we're already losing them, and we're going to continue to lose them until we have drastic change. And that's what we need to do here.
Well, the affordability issue comes down to what I see as the Ontario government, who is clearly in the way of building homes. They sit on paperwork. Councillor Tejoa in council mentioned that we submit the paperwork to build these 80,000 homes that have been there for decades, some of them, and the Ford government sits on it. And that's what we need to end. And the 8,050 homes with the EMZO. The shovels were ready to go underground. We need to put pressure on him to remove that. We need to build that parkland and homes. Thank you.
20 seconds, okay. We need to build better, we need to build faster, we need to increase our standard of living and our quality of life. These are the things that we're missing in the city of Mississauga. We need to start now. And I love these guys, and they're great counselors, and they're telling you that they're going to do it. If they could have done it, they would have done it. We have 20 seconds to talk about 10 years of problems. It's impossible. So I'd like you to just double check my website, taversformayor.ca. Lots of ideas in there, and every one of them is doable within 2 years.
Well, we have a housing mandate on us of 150,000 units. We have 80,000 approved and as of right that we can put a shovel in the ground on right now. We can keep approving and approving and approving. The city of Mississauga approves, we don't build. And it's working together to make sure we get the right deal with our provincial and federal governments, and also to make sure that we've got that with the development community. To get those shovels in the ground. The use it or lose it, that's one part, but we need to make sure that we can physically get those shovels in the ground, get permits going of all types, rentals, for people to purchase of all different types as well, to make sure that we've got a home for you and everybody else. Thank you.
Your chief administrative officer, the highest paid employee at the city, put out on Twitter that boomers were selfish and for staying in their homes so long. Do you agree with that? This was on her corporate account. Do you agree with that, or that boomer, and I'm not a boomer yet, but what do you think about that? It's very concerning. She's a highest paid employee.
Alvin.
So I think it's incredibly important that we're helping seniors age in place. My parents are seniors. It's really important that you can continue to live in your own home for as long as you want to. That's the place that you're going to be the most healthy. We've got the data to support that. And my plan reduces taxes for low-income seniors to move forward so they can continue living in their homes for as long as they want. That's important to me.
I think that kind of comment is insulting to the older generation who have worked all their lives and paid their taxes, and we have in the city what we have now. And to be told that you should move out is just, I don't know how to describe it nicely. It's just wrong. These people have built our city and our country, and we need to protect them and live, and like Councillor Tejo says, they need to be in their homes. Thank you.
So if you're asking if that was appropriate, the answer is no, because I think that was your question. And what would I do if I was mayor and I seen something like that? I'll give you the appropriate answer as mayor. I would approach the individual and discuss with them the proper etiquette with using social media. That's the proper way to say it.
Well, having everyone staying in their own home as long as they want is absolutely their choice. Anybody that comes in, purchases a home or is renting a property, this is one that we need to make sure that is protected as long as people want to be a part of that, and also come up with ways that we can provide more accessibility when it comes to retrofitting homes, for example, and also helping out with care. And this is what Peel Home Share and things like that really needs to be addressed. But keeping people in their homes as long as they can is really incumbent on us to be able to do, because quite frankly, our seniors deserve it.
As the Minister of Seniors, I had the absolute privilege of touring this province from Sudbury to Windsor, from east to west, north to south. And the one thing I heard consistently, no matter where I went, no matter what culture, seniors said to me two things. We want to live in our own homes for as long as we can. And what's retirement? This is our second act. We want to live lives, fulfilling lives, lives of purpose. And so you have my commitment that I will do everything I can to make sure seniors can continue to age in place. And I will say this, if I have not seen the comment, but if it was made, inappropriate. Thank you.
We have time for a couple more questions from the audience.
Hi, my name is Sue. I think I've had my arm up the longest here, so somebody did put baby in a corner. Some of you will get that, some of you won't. I have twofold thing. One's more a statement, and then I would like to ask a completely separate question. So I would like 2 time sessions, please, gentlemen, for each one. The first one, the statement. I used to read the Mississauga newspaper from front to back every time I got that newspaper at my house. It told me what was going on in the community. I could plan my week around that Mississauga newspaper. And I don't get it anymore. I hear other people say, oh, I went to this event. Oh, well, I didn't even know about that event. I don't like being on my computer all day long for work, and my phone for texting and TV. Like I said, I'd like 2 sessions, please. So I really don't, I want my newspaper back so I can sit and relax and read the paper.
Everybody wants an
No, that's okay. So my second question is, how do you guys, or how are you going to deal with, Stephen Dasko has had to deal with Lakeview being all planned out for the last 10 years by all the community people, and only 8,000 homes being built in there, and it was wonderful, and then Doug Ford comes along and splashes an MZO all over it, and which is a ministry zoning order, and now there's going to be 16,000 people with no planned infrastructure because it was already planned for 8,000. How are you going to deal with that? Oh, because it's going to happen in Streetsville, it's going to happen everywhere.
David.
Oh, this one really bothers me, that Doug Ford would do that to our city. We had a beautiful plan down there, 8,050 homes, and a tower in the middle of it that I think the city should look at purchasing or buying units in there to help our seniors and those in need of homes. It's a beautiful park area, and what we need to do is take Doug Ford to court. We need to just talk to the developers. And we have it all there, and we just need to build. What would stop us? If the developers are in and everybody's in, let's just do it.
Okay, so the ministry zoning orders of the MZOs, I remember this almost like it was yesterday because it was May 15th when they first brought it up. We had that meeting, and we talked about the MZOs over in Stevens Place there, the Lakeview development. And I remember hearing one of the councillors say that we could fight it if we wanted to. We would probably lose it in court because they would use the their notwithstanding act. And I think that that was shameful. I think you fight a fight that needs to be fought. You don't fight the ones that you can always win, just fight the fights that need to be fought always. So thank you.
Well, thanks, Sue, and being at the forefront of this whole debacle of what's happening. It's not 16,000 people. This is 16,000 units, which would be about 50,000 people that are now coming in. This is on top of the 67 acres of parkland, 9,000 jobs, and this is impossible to answer. But absolutely, this is one that we have to go. The province holds all the cards. We're incorporated under the laws of Ontario. That's Mississauga. That's why they call us the corporation thereof. And this is where we need a mayor that can go and not perpetually be in arguments and fights with the province or the federal government. It's work with them to come out with good solutions that make sense for everybody. Sorry about that.
The MZO is an unmitigated disaster. They rode roughshod over the city and the citizens, and it's just bad planning. It's our one chance to get the lakefront right, and this is not going to help. This is wrong. So as mayor, I will work hard to right-size this. The province has shown repeatedly that they will reverse course if enough pressure is put, and this is about fairness for Port Credit. Every part of Mississauga needs to grow and do its part, and we can't put it all on Port Credit. So I know that Doug Ford's going to want fairness for Port Credit as well, so I'll work with him to right-size it.
You know, unfortunately, this government seems to respond best to pressure. And when we needed to, when Bill 23 came out and they took away development charges for future developments, we pushed back, and we pushed back harder than we've ever done before. Every single person in this room would have gotten a mailer from the city of Mississauga saying, your property taxes are going up because of what is happening at the provincial government. And because of that, they've repealed it. They've repealed it just now because of the amount of pressure that we were able to do. We need to continue doing that for MZOs. We've started doing that for MZOs, and they're walking back a number of them right now, not all of them, but they're walking back several ones, and that's the way to keep going.
All right, Athena, one last question on your side, and then the lovely lady in the back that's in black.
What do you think of the idea of holding issue-specific referendums so that using technological means so that people can get their voices heard and they don't get complained if it's moved away? So issue-specific referendums for major policy decisions for the citizens of Mississauga using technology.
That mic is on.
Can we ask that again? We couldn't hear the question.
So what do you think of the idea of is the mic on?
We can hear.
You gotta turn your mic on, sir. You gotta turn your mic on.
So what do you think of? I can just hear, okay?
Okay.
What do you think of the idea of using issue-specific referendums using technology in order to encourage participation of citizens of Mississauga?
Okay, George?
Okay, I like the idea of using technology in order to speed things up. If that had the ability to create better dialogue, more dialogue, then I'm all for it. But historically, we've seen it, and we've all seen this when we have a questionnaire that's sent out and we do it online. It gives you a list of things, and some of them are just kind of looping back, and it doesn't give you all the right answers. So we have a little bit of a problem. I don't have a problem with it, provided that there's text that you can physically put in to say what your problems are. So if you're asking me if it's a good idea, I like it.
Oh, sorry, that's me. Okay. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I'm extremely passionate about broad community consultation, and that's something that really should be at the forefront of all of our decisions, large decisions that we make here. And if it is something of a paramount issue, then we can look to do that. But to do it on a wholesale basis, on a regular basis, it would be cost prohibitive, quite frankly, to do so. But absolutely, if we're talking about large-scale changes, then we should be doing something like that. Consultation is at the forefront of who we are as a city, as far as I'm concerned.
I would definitely support referendum on key issues. Absolutely, we should be having referendums, on issues like when we are changing neighborhood character, fourplexes, subway. These are issues that we should be having referendums on, and I would twin them with the election cycle so that it's not cost prohibitive, and it actually and I think it will increase voter turnout because now people actually feel there's an issue that they can vote on. So 100% behind it.
I think, as the councillor mentioned, voting is an incredibly difficult issue that we did face with the city. The last election only had 21.8% turnout. 21.8% of people voted. This is a by-election. You can usually expect the turnout to go down. I hope that's not true. I hope we can motivate enough people to go out and vote on these issues. But we need to make it easier for people to vote. We need online voting. We need mail-in ballots. We need to make it easier with more polling stations in apartment buildings, which we don't currently have. Everybody in this city has the right to express their voice, and they should be able to do it at the polling booth. Thank you.
Yes, we need to have referendums because this allows us, the people, to have a voice in things that are said and to know what's going on in the city before it happens, which is the big problem. We're not told about many things before they happen and they're implemented, and through referendums we can keep the lines of communication open with the people in the city. Thank you.
Hi. I've been listening and I've been really curious about our rich history in Mississauga around economic development. It's been what built our city, and I haven't heard anything about continued economic development, innovation. What do we stand for now? We just recently saw Microsoft pick up and leave their headquarters in Mississauga. Our crown jewel left us. Their tax base left us. Their employees left us. What is the next innovation horizon that you want to aspire to that's going to attract the next growth, the next boom in our city?
Stephen, that is your question first. We're going to go down the road, and then we're going to go to our closing remarks. Is there any candidates still in the audience? We are going to have anybody in the audience that is a mayoral candidate will be able to come up after the closing remarks here, and we're going to give them a minute to do, again, a statement or a closing remark. I see Frank left, but I see one hand over here, two hands. So, Jamie's here as well, 3 hands. So we'll give them a minute each to come in. Oh. No, are you a candidate, ma'am? No. So that's 3 candidates here. All right? So we'll do that after closing remarks. They can come up and give us a closing remark. Go ahead. Do you need the question again?
No.
Okay.
I love the question. Building our employment base is one of the most important things we need to do going forward as a city, and thinking intelligently on how we do that. We have a community improvement project, 2 of them right now, one at City Center, one down in Lakeview, and basically it's easier for companies to come and locate here. We have an innovation corridor in Lakeview that we're going to be building out 9,000 jobs. It's a blank canvas right now. It's absolutely critical for us to build out our employment. We have the zoning for it, that we can actually build a true world-class city, and part of that is exactly what you're talking about. So thank you so much for asking.
So Mississauga is Ontario's 3rd largest city, but we have the 2nd largest economy. So we are doing a lot of things right. What we really need to do is the single biggest thing that I believe we can do is make it easier for businesses to operate in Mississauga. I'm going to quickly share a story. There's a company called Nye Manufacturing in my ward, wanted to expand. Believe it or not, city staff said no, and I had to fight. And get a special motion going at city council to make sure that they were able to expand. That kind of nonsense has to stop. City government has to be supporting expansion of businesses, not get so into the weeds of rules and procedures that we actually stop expansion.
We have 100,000 businesses in the city of Mississauga. We're one of the most successful places for people to do business, and that is amazing. But we need to continue supporting them. We need to support the small businesses, which are over 90% of the businesses in the city, by lowering their small business property taxes to 15% so that they can recover from COVID and they can continue to be successful in this city. But businesses need talent. They need workers. Those workers need a place to live. They need a reliable transit, safe network to get to work. We need to continue focusing on housing and transportation around the city of Mississauga so that these workers can work at these businesses. Thank you.
Well, again, like 2022, I have a different platform, and first I'd like to address the fact of the COVID lockdowns, mandates, and vaccines. During the course of 2 years, human rights violations were committed by some officials and the regional appeal officers. This includes forced masking, injections, lockdown shops, malls, businesses, and places of worship. And I want an independent investigation into this, and I'm just going to say, the day I opened my website, Peel Police came and sat with me. They want the investigations. Thank you.
Okay, so everything that ditto what Alvin said, but I think we could go a little bit further. I think one of the issues that we're missing out, Conestoga College has done this with some of the surrounding cities. They changed their agendas and their curriculums to match up with the surrounding areas, the technologies that they needed in the surrounding areas. I think Mississauga is missing that. We need to do that. There's also mentorship that we're missing out on. The smaller businesses can work with mentorship with other students in order to learn non-brick and mortar opportunities to sell their product, and the people that work non-brick and mortar can learn brick and mortar, so we can work with the partnership with that. And if we do something like that, I think we can actually expand our abilities and create more jobs. There.
We're going to move on to the final part of our evening, which is closing remarks, and we're going to start with Deepika.
I want to again thank all of you for being here and so patient. And I'm running because I believe I have the best experience. I'm the only candidate who has cabinet level experience who's actually run an entire ministry. And over the 10 plus years that I've been elected as an official, I'm proud of two things: my integrity, and second, my accomplishments. And the accomplishments that I'm most proud of are not necessarily the biggest ones or the most well-known ones, but they're the ones where people said to me, you cannot do it, and I got it done. I'll give you 3 examples. When I first got elected as a councillor, I was told, you cannot start a BIA in Cooksville. It's been tried umpteen times. I did it. There was an illegal weed store in my ward, and I was told you cannot shut it down because of the justice system. It took longer than I wanted. We did some unorthodox things, but I got it shut down with the help of the police. I was told that you cannot shut down Dundas Street to do a street festival. I got it done. And that's the mayor you're going to get. A mayor who gets things done. I have a clear vision for Mississauga, a city that's livable, a city that's affordable, and a city that's full of opportunity so that people like Sam can get ahead, so that all of us can get ahead, and our children can get ahead. Because I believe that the best cities are not about, the largest building or the best museum, although they are very important. The greatest cities are the ones where families can get ahead and build a better life for themselves. That's what I want for Mississauga. On June 10th, I ask for your vote. Thank you so much.
So I'll start by thanking the timers for, I'm going to have nightmares about the dinging overnight, and the Residents Association for putting this together. It's incredibly heartwarming to see so many people really engaged in our city, because I think this is the most important level of government that we have, right? You want these services to be responsive when you call them. You want a better community. You want a walkable neighborhood. You want to be able to get around safely, because this is where we live, right? These are our homes. These are our neighbors, our friends, our family. And I'm incredibly invested in the future of this city, in making sure that we've got a livable city moving forward, not just for my kids or yours, but to make sure that we can stay near them, right? That's why we need more housing, so you don't have to travel 2 hours to go see your grandkids. We need to build that better future by building the housing that we need, by building the affordable city that people need to live in the city, by building the transit options and the walkable neighborhoods, and by working with every level of government that we can and with each other. And one of the things I'm incredibly proud of is I've been working with the federal government on getting more housing. I've been working with the provincial government on getting more transit, regardless of the political stripes. I've worked with every councillor who's running for mayor on different issues to push these issues forward. And that's what we need. We need leadership. The question that you need to answer for yourselves is, who do you want to lead the city over the next decade or so, right? At least for the next 2 years. Who do you think is going to have the vision and the drive and the energy to push the city forward to where we need to go and to work with others? I want you to have that chance to think about that and to look at all the plans and to look at mine, and I hope that I'll get the chance to serve you as your mayor. Thank you so much.
Going forward, we do need change in council. These three councillors here have been here 6 years and have created, well, not have created, but are involved in the problems in our city. And they always want to fix it. And again, it's an election promise as I see it. And on the come in as new eyes and with a new vision for the city. And that again includes opening up rinks, tennis courts, getting the kids active in their schools, and holding an investigation into the lockdowns we had based on the National Citizens Inquiry.ca. I would like you to look up that website, National Citizens Inquiry.ca. Thank you.
First off, I'd like to say that the city councilors, I like them, I really do. I think they're wonderful people, but I don't think they're the right people to lead the city today. I could teach them how to be the right people. Now, if they could have done it, they would have done it. They didn't. They claim that they want to, they won't. And it's not a shot at them. It's just it's a limitation that they have, and it's okay. It's okay to understand your limitations. Now, I have to adjust something here. I did say something about the bike lanes. I'm not against bike lanes. I need everybody to appreciate that. I'm against this design of a bike lane on Bloor Street. This needs to change because there is opportunities for cyclists, drivers, pedestrians, micromobility, and whatever comes up next to have. We have to work in conjunction with each other, in unison with each other, because we need to do it. This is cycling is a real responsibility, and it's a real opportunity for people to get from one spot to another. And I think we need to really identify that as a real option for some people. So please jump on my website. It's tavaresformayor.ca. I've got a couple of really great ideas. Bloor Street is on there. There's another BRT. And then there's a bike to bus for free. Instead of taking the bus or taking the bike, all the 16 kilometers, you take your bike, you get on the bus, you bus for free. So instead of Mississauga being only 2 kilometers for a cyclist, you can go 100 kilometers as far as you want. So that's an option for you. So anyways, thank you very much for your time. I really do appreciate it. It's been a long night. And I thank you very much for all your efforts. Thank you.
Well, thank you all for coming and joining us tonight, and thank you for hosting it. This has been a wonderful evening. But it's a transitional election that we have right now. We have 50 years under our belt as a city. It's where we're going for the next 50 that's going to be the most critical and important. It's how we're going to redefine ourselves as a city, and it's how we're going to move forward. There's great opportunities that we have, but there's also challenges. And for anybody to say that everything is going to be just fine, that's not truthful. I want to be the mayor that's going to be telling you how it is. And if it's good stuff, we're going to deal with it together. And if it's challenges, we're going to work through it together as well. But that's where we're going. We're going forward, upward and onward here. And this is an election to elect a strong new voice for today and for tomorrow. It's not a 2-year job. This is an 8 to 10-year role to get us moving in the right direction, to make sure that we're on good, solid footing. And so I ask you now, because the future is now, that on June 10th, you vote for me, Stephen Dasko, to be our next mayor of Mississauga. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Lolly, could you guys give the microphones out? I guess if everybody was willing to listen, what do you think? 1 minute or 2 minutes?
Irish got 3 minutes. Irish got 3.
2 minutes? Everybody's good with 2 minutes? All right. Let's go in alphabetical order. Brian Crombie, Jamie Dukey, and who else did we have here? M. McEachran? Okay. So Brian, 2 minutes.
Thank you. My name is Brian Crombie. I'm running for mayor. Number one, I think I've got the experience. I'm a businessman. I've been for 7 years chair of the Mississauga City Summit, the Western DTI Summit at the request of former Mayor Hazel McCallion. I've been president of the Mississauga Arts Council. I'm currently chair of a GTA-wide transit alliance. I'm a duly nominated mayoral candidate, and for some reason they didn't invite me on the stage tonight, and I think that's a real shame. We've talked a lot about democracy and residents wanting a voice and referendum and things like that, and to exclude some of us and only having the incumbents and the people that ran before, great people, but only those people on stage, I don't think you get the choice to actually think about whether you want to make a change in Mississauga. And I do agree with the two gentlemen that said that it's time to make a change. I think we have 4 crises in Mississauga today. We've lost our way. Number one is an affordability crisis. The councillors are misrepresenting the tax increases to you. We do have media in Mississauga. I'm on every night at 6 o'clock on 960 AM. Last night I had Axel on my show. We proved that the tax increases in Mississauga last year were 6.3%. And they're telling you, you heard it tonight, 2.3%. They're misrepresenting, or they're fooling themselves. And the region increase wasn't 4.5%, it was 8%. Together, it's 7%. Look at your own tax bill. It didn't go up a modest 2.3% that they said it did. If you don't admit the truth to yourself, you're not going to be able to solve the problem. Second of all, we've got an affordability crisis. This gentleman over here, the young man, said it right. Young people can't live in Mississauga today. My kids can't afford to live in Mississauga today. And it's the red tape and regulation that these people allow to exist. That's the reason why. Last night, Carolyn Parrish said the solution was to have a mayor's advisory thing that met once a month, and she would solve the problems. That's a definition that you've got a system problem. The last thing I want is favoritism, to have to go to the mayor's office to get a problem. You should be able to solve the problem yourself through the system of the zonings and the regular process. You shouldn't have to appeal for favoritism to the mayor to get a solved problem. Our planning system is broken. We got to admit it. I think we have a crime crisis and we have a transit crisis. These gentlemen talked about the people in Mississauga, down in South Mississauga. With no new transit, it's going to be a disaster.
Jamie, you're up.
To give all these people all night and give me 2 minutes, I apologize. This is the problem with democracy. This is the problem with democracy.
Brian, come up with 3 minutes of a video and we'll post it on our YouTube video.
Talk about fairness.
Dr. Jamie Dukey, I'm running for mayor, www.dukeyformayor.com. We talk about affordability. I have a project with Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, modular housing, prefabricated walls, interior walls made with recyclable materials, made from your single-use plastics and your juice boxes. Affordable cost, about $264,000 for a 2-bedroom unit. I'm running for mayor because I believe I have the best solution. Ryan said it right. We know that if you don't know the truth, you will believe a lie. And you hear about your taxes that is 2% and 3%. It's close to about 7 or 8% as we know. And Chris Mackey and I was with MIRANET for 5 years, and Chris Mackey and I spent many years looking after the budgets, and every time Chris makes a deputation towards the city, basically he got stonewalled. We talk about affordability in this city. You can't go alone with city Mississauga standing by itself, because your councillors will have to give up their regional portion of their salary, which is $60,000 a year, and they work 1 day a week. I don't know if you believe this or you know this, but you can look and you can ask them, right? The next thing is that you cannot, because if you go as an independent city, you're going to need a Mississauga Board of Education. You're going to need a Mississauga Police. You're going to need a Mississauga Water. You're going to need a Mississauga garbage waste collection. All that is going to cost you extra money in your taxpayers' dollars. Your Peel Regional Police does not serve Caledon. It serves Brampton and Mississauga. You're paying for the OPP out of your regional taxes to serve Caledon. So I believe amalgamation is your solution. It would reduce your cost I plan, as your mayor, number one, get rid of your stormwater levy. It'll be gone. Number two, your municipal part of your taxes will be cut, and your regional portion will go one level of taxes, 3% or less, or with inflation. Thank you. www.dukeyfrommayor.com.
Thank you so much, Jamie. And again, please send us your videos. We are not excluding anyone. We're all for everybody. But as you see, we're in a small venue and we could only accommodate so many. We were more than happy to put your videos or your platform onto our website. Go ahead. The platform is yourselves.
Hello, everybody. My name is Mitchell McEachern. I'm one of the candidates running. I'm 37, and I made the joke yesterday that I want to be the mayor of Mississauga so I can afford to live in Mississauga, which is funny. But I really want to thank, I'm just surrounded by such intelligent people, and I just wanted to take a moment to appreciate that, because like, it's not just on this side, but on this side too. Like, this is the second debate I've been a part of, and I cannot believe the presence, like the attention, the questions, like this is what we have to do more of. I'm a fan of the young gentleman who mentioned the referendum online. I'm a young guy too. Like I use social media. I'm trying to understand these problems that we're having, and I'm not sure I understand them. So I like to ask questions, and having questions in public, like not on social media, but in public, where we get to talk about things in public and not kill each other in public. You know, like calm down in public. I think that's really important. And I honestly admit I don't have a platform. I don't have solutions to there's a very complicated questions, and I cannot believe the answers that you guys are giving. I'm so blown away by all of you.
Yes.
Pardon?
One of them was yes.
One of them was yes. That was the easy one. And Brian, like I just want more dialogue. I just want more public dialogue about things that we think are important so that we can all be on the same page and really solve the problems. Now, am I the one to do it? I don't know. Mikey, where did Mikey go? My God, that song was amazing, brother. Like, we need more artists. I'm a musician. We need to bring people together so we can get through this, because you guys, all of us together are the solution. I'm not gonna even ask you to vote for me. When it comes down to it, like, I'm too young. I don't understand data and the math. But what I can do is bring people together, and I'm gonna do that regardless. And I think having events like this happen more often in the city of Mississauga is a real solution to that problem. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you for staying. Thank you for being a part of this. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to MIRANET. Thank you. This was a great evening.
We want to thank all the mayoral candidates for participating and making this event a success. And to Mikey Bloom, the mic is on, right? Thank you everyone for attending. How's that? Perfect. Sorry? You can hear me, right? Okay, okay. Mikey, thanks for coming out. Okay? Thanks to all the candidates that appeared here tonight. And again, as Sue mentioned, we're a small organization. We don't have a lot of manpower sometimes. So again, in terms of exclusion, we weren't excluding anybody in attending our event. It's just what you see is what you get. So we did the best we can, and I thank all the audience for all the fantastic questions. We thank the media for showing up and making this event fantastic. Visit us at MIRANET Talks on YouTube, and we hope to have the video up shortly with pictures. And again, if you're a candidate that wasn't up here on stage, feel free to send us your videos, 2 minutes to 3 minutes. We'll post it on our website and the YouTube channel. Thanks again, everybody, for coming, and it's been a great night. Thank you.